Is this thing on? Does this work? Hello, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to season 3, episode 5, The Hang. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How's everybody doing there in internet land? We appreciate everybody stopping by. Tonight's a really fun night. It's going to be the production office hang with the Billy Joel. Um, how can I use this word? The Billy Joel. Liz would say thugs, but we're not thugs. We're nice. The nice thugs. Anyway, with the Billy Joel band and crew, we have the top tier guys here. Wonderful Max Lubieri, Mr. Bobby Boomer Thrasher, and the wonderful Mike Grisel are going to be joining us. They're ramped up and online, ready to go very shortly. But I just wanted to say hello and thank you guys and welcome everybody over here to the Tuesday night hang. Say hello to my friend over in Chicagoland, Stephen Wright. How you doing, Stephen?
What's up, guys? How you guys doing?
It's a nice hat you got tonight, bro. Oh
Hey,
my
you know,
God.
if I don't wear a hat, you bust my chops. So
I got to bust your chops no matter what. That seems like it's going to be the theme for tonight. Hey, how can everybody bust each other's chops?
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going? All right. Yeah, it's like, what are you on, like 10 feet of snow over there in Chicago tonight?
Yeah, the ground's covered.
Okay.
Definitely started.
Gotcha.
Hanging in there. All good. Be a fun night.
It'll be a fun night. Yeah, this is the first time, actually, I got to give credit where credit's due. This is the first time we've had, I guess it would be 5 people with totally you and I on it. So so far, knock on wood somewhere, there's been no gremlins, but since we have 5 screens and Steven's doing his technology through Restream, we're talk to us about what you're doing with the Restream with the 5 streams and all this good stuff you were telling us earlier.
Yeah, so basically, you guys will notice if you've been in the hang before, you'll notice the screen does look a little bit different because of the amount of people that we have. I need all the computing power that my little MacBook Pro can muster. So the live chat is not going to be visible on the screen. However, I am still able to see it and pass questions and stuff like that on to the guys at the times when we have openings. So I see you in there. I already see you guys in there.
Say hello and
looks like we got half the Billy band hanging out in the chat right now. We got Mark, we got Chuck, got a few people hanging out. So thank you guys. I see you in there, and we'll have that come up. Like Carl said, we're gonna have 5 people tonight, so you'll see the cameras flying around, and hopefully we hold things together.
Yeah, it'll be good, man. It'll be good. And we got to also thank you for coming and hang with us because we know the World Series. Mike Grisel's the Dodgers guy, and I'm here in Tampa Bay, so I'm sure we'll be slinging some mud. It's not like I'm watching the game or anything, you know. Definitely not. I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, I don't know what you're saying. I mean, yeah. So without further ado, I'm going to have those guys come in. And also I want to thank you, Stephen, personally, for you did a really wonderful job, man. Helping me co-produce this Sirius XM radio spot we did this morning.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate it, man. You pulled in the hang, you pulled in all the wonderful Billy people, crew, and Chainsaw and Wayne and Mark and Andy and the beautiful Crystal and David, and you shine everybody in a really nice positive light, man. I appreciate that. Thank you,
man. That was a lot of fun to have the show on there this morning. It's going to be on a couple other times coming up on the next 3 or 4 days. I actually have a clip from the show if you want to share.
Do you guys want to share? Should we share? We might as well share. I mean, if I had a peanut butter sandwich, I'd give everybody a half. Well, now I'm lying. I'd eat the whole freaking thing because I'm fat. But yeah, throw it on anyway. Let's see what we got. Throw it up there quick.
All right, here's just a little teaser for you.
Little small. This is Carl Fischer on the Billy Joel channel, Sirius XM Radio. It's always special when we play our residency at our home, Madison Square Garden. Every time we play there, it's different. It's just a special place, and having the guest artists coming in and out of these garden gigs has been second to none, and it's a surprise for us. We usually don't know till the day of.
Percussionist and vocalist Crystal Talifero.
First of all, we have to learn their song like at the last minute. It's a great feeling, you know. I don't have any other words how to explain that, man.
Surreal is how I feel.
Yeah.
It's like a joke. It's like, oh, he's showing up tonight, you know. And it's like, oh man, you know, it's funny because you don't know. And you know, Crystal, remember we were asked to talk about Madison Square Garden memories. What sticks out in your head of, and then so my guest, you know, I picked a couple different guests. You know, of Sting, Chick Corea, you know, Miley Cyrus singing New York State of Mind. She was the MVP.
She tore it up.
You know, you and I both picked Miley. I thought that was hysterical. I'm not, you know, me, I'm a jazz head. I'm like, Miley Cyrus? She came in with some phrasing that I never heard before.
Tore it up.
Guitarist Tommy Burns.
Definitely for me, I get a little weak-kneed by anybody that I've like learned from when I was a kid, you know, anybody like that. Yes, everyone that comes down and plays with us, I am absolutely starstruck by.
Usually when we're going to sound check is when we get the text, okay, we got to learn this tune or check this tune out. Our guest tonight's going to be Sting. And you know what? He's going to be the big man on Mulberry Street. Tonight we're going to do that. So no pressure there, you know. Incidentally, it's a fun tune for me to play Big Man on Mulberry Street because I get to blow on the end. So having Sting there singing that tune and blowing over him at the end and him actually riffing at the end, you know, also having Chick Corea come in and play Big Man on Mulberry Street and being able to trade some solos with him. He's a wonderful musician and a big fan of Billy's, and Billy and the band brings out the best in these guests, and the guests bring out the best in us. It's just everybody is just feeding off the energy. It's a wonderful scene. All right, so that's The Hang on Sirius XM Radio. I think we have 2 more spots, but I just wanted to, again, thank Stephen Wright for helping me co-produce that spot and keep everybody in a shine of light and keep everybody together here.
Yeah.
So thank you, buddy.
Yeah, definitely. And for people that want to check it out, you know, the schedule is on the Sirius site, and also your episode will be in the on-demand section for the app. Cool. On Sirius's app. So awesome. Well,
that's great, man. So talking about bringing back people together, these 3 guys bring everybody together and keep everybody together. So our guest tonight, if you don't know, if you just clicked on, our tour director for the Billy Joel organization is Max Lubieri. He's going to be coming on. We also have the production management styling. He sounds like it's like his own act. The styling of production management of the great Bobby Boomer Thrasher. He's going to be with us tonight. And last but not least, we have he wrangles everybody. He's a good wrangler, especially with the band. He wrangles us very well. Our tour manager and wonderful person and Californian, Mr. Mike Grisel. They're all here. So let's bring in our friend Max first. Max is our tour director. He's been with the organization since 1989. So that's 31 years. Man, it's a long time. He oversees everybody from all parties. He oversees everybody, all parties from Billy to the band, to sound, rigging, lights, video, trucks, transit, lodging. He does it with a very humble, noble attitude, man. To say Max has it covered is totally an understatement. He's always got it covered, man. He's got it together. His years with not just Billy, but Bruce Springsteen and a who's who of artists speaks volumes of what type of person he is. What you will see tonight is Max and all 3 men have all started lower on a totem pole and have worked their way up through the industry where they're at the top now. They're at the top of their game, and these guys have paid their dues, man. So, you know, it's wonderful to have these gentlemen. My first encounter with Max is kind of a funny little story. In 2005, in a rehearsal in Long Island, I heard this man with a really thick New Orleans accent ask me, "Hey, how much money do you want to make playing for Billy?" That's what he says to me. You know, at that time, I didn't know if I even had the gig, so I was really on edge. But Max was very nice. He actually said, "Go home and think about it and get back with me." So the next day, I found him at rehearsal and I threw him a number. Max looked at me and he said, "It's plain as day. What, are you freaking kidding me?" And he stormed off. I'm like, "Oh my God, I just lost the gig, Max. You know, I just lost the gig. I asked for too much money or something, you know?" So anyway, a day went by, and you know, I was back at a rehearsal, and Max comes by the horn riser, and he's got a devilish smile and says, "Hey, horn blaster, you got your money. And he comes really close to me and says, he's laughing at me. He goes, that's all you really wanted? I just had to bust your chops. Right then and there, I knew that this family is just a joyful, crazy family that will do anything for a laugh. On a serious side, what I've seen Max do is nothing short of extraordinary as he negotiates with all people, departments, press, musicians, venues, with nothing but honesty, humbleness, and humor. He's just that type of dude, man. He always leaves people feeling, you always feel good when you leave Max. He always leaves with a big slice of Crescent City that runs through you and just makes you feel good, man. So he's going to make us feel good tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Max Lubieri. Where are you at?
That was mighty nice, Carl. Thank you.
Hey, brother. You're a mighty nice
Am I
man.
excited for you?
Yeah, you owe me money now. How much money you got? That's all you want?
Yeah.
How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm doing really good. Good to see everybody, man.
Yeah.
I miss everybody tremendously. And it's good to hope we start up again soon.
Yeah, I know. My wife's kicked me out like 8 times already. It's like, can't you go on? You should go on a road at least sit on a road or go to the corner or something, do something. So yeah, no, we miss our touring family, and I had to have you 3 guys on, man. So thank you for being here.
No, I love it. I'm always in tune with I guess Ricky and Chainsaw have this relentless text that come through all the time. And I just love getting it. And I love everybody pop in, and it goes on and on sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's good. Noah will wake up and he'll have 78 missed texts in Australia. And it's just good that we're all keep in touch and we love each other so much.
Yeah, man. Well, that's part of the impetus of the hang, man. We're just, one of Stephen and I didn't think we were going to do this, but past maybe 2 or 3 episodes, we figured we talk about jazz and jazz guys, and then we'd maybe hit some Billy stuff. And I think we're all starving for community. So here it is. And I appreciate you making the hang, bro. Thank you. So we're going to have some questions for you. We might as well just let everybody come in and have a free for all, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
why not? That's what the production office is.
That's it. So speaking of production office, exactly. So I'm going to introduce this next gentleman. So our next gentleman, Mr. Bobby Thrasher, his nickname Boomer, is our production manager. He's been with the band since '83 for 37 years. That's a couple of years, right? He makes the circus happen, man. He keeps the circus right. So he's usually the first one in and the last one out. He's calm yet decisive demeanor. He's a go-to for all of us to be around. He just, we all want to be around him. Speaking of what you just said, Max, Boomer, your production office, it's just a place that we all love to be in. And we all go there to say hello. And that's not the norm, because a lot of other tours, their production office doesn't have that vibe. It's usually the most unwelcoming place. That's usually uptight and negative, right? The production office with Boomer and yourself and Mike, it's just a great place to be around. Don't get me wrong, you guys get it done. Boomer gets it done, period. Boomer's attention to detail, knowledge, and his calmness, with his mantra of, hey man, the gig comes first. It's that attitude, and his humor, it just comes through. And we just love being around Boomer. It's a privilege to be around him, and countless artists vie for Boomer to be on their team. Again, Bruce Springsteen, Paul Simon, you name it, the who's who are all after Boomer to be on their team. Boomer started working, and maybe I'm wrong with this, Mike and Max can clear some of this stuff up. I believe you were rigging steel and doing a whole bunch of rigging over stages back in the early days, and he's worked his way up to the production manager. So he's known every gig that he's come full circle on. My first encounter with Boomer was again at the 2005 dealership, and the reason I bring this up at the rehearsal dealership is, Boomer came over and actually scared the hell out of me, man. He was like, I thought he was going to throw me out or something. He came up and he was like this calm, kind, and humble dude. He welcomed me, and it was at the end of the rehearsal on the second day. I'm packing my horns up, and Boomer says, stop right there, man. You keep those horns here. I'm like, huh? What are you talking about? He goes, no, you're coming again tomorrow. I thought to myself, I don't know. I guess I am. I don't know. He says, leave those horns here, you know, and I don't like leaving my horns anywhere. So Boomer was very, very, very poignant. I'm like, leave these things here. So he goes, I'll watch them. They're safe. So I came back the next day and Boomer says to me, man, those horns play great. I was playing along with some Stan Kenton tracks last night. And, you know, everything is cool, man. So another family wise guy is busting my chops. You know, the second day I'm like, what a freaking great family this is. So, you know, the guy just gets it done. Everybody loves him. And, you know, he's just an example of one of the best production managers I know. Let's all welcome Mr. Bobby Thrasher.
I'm here.
There he
I
is.
am here.
What's up, Boomy?
Well, thank you very much there, Carl.
Thank you, man.
A lot of nice things said, but don't know if they're all true.
You know, I had someone write it for me.
I'll send you some more later.
All right, good. Yeah, maybe. Hey, you know, now I'm thinking about what was your first, you know, I just have to, were you originally rigging stages? What was your first gig?
No, my first thing was Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Really? And what were you doing for them?
At the time, I was the hydraulics technician.
See, I was wrong. Really? Doing hydraulics? Man, look at that.
No, my brother was a semi-manager of the band in 1977, and he hired me because I built forklifts and I knew hydraulics. And he asked me to come on and build some lifts for Keith Emerson's pianos and keyboards.
Oh, cool.
And during that tour, I became the carpenter. And obviously we meet everybody else, and that's how I got. And then after that, I went into a Mike Brown. I didn't do rigging, but I did build stages, outdoor stages, festivals and stages for other bands and things. And then from there, I started building stages, and then a couple years went by, and I did a Gino Vanelli tour. Then I did Bruce Springsteen, and all in between, I was always building stages in between these tours. And then ended up with Simon and Garfunkel on an outdoor tour as a staging person. And Steve Cohen and Brian Ruggles were both on that tour. And they kind of got used to me being around and started asking me the advanced questions and stuff like that instead of their own production guy, whoever it was at the time.
Okay.
And eventually Steve just kind of took me under his wing. And when he said the Billy tour came up, he hired me and asked me if I'd like to do Billy as a carpenter. And I did. And by the end of that tour, he made me production manager. So
wow. So
I've been at that. And then I also did Springsteen prior to the first Billy show tour.
Okay. I knew you had a thing with Bruce, yeah. So it was hydraulics first. I was totally wrong on the building stage thing. That was a little later, but that's very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm fictitious, man. I pulled it out of this pink shirt somewhere. There's a lot to pull out.
Born, right, Carl?
What's that?
Was it before you were born?
Yeah, I was born in 71. Boomer.
Okay, well, pretty close.
Yeah.
That's why he got the name Boomer. He was building those stages with the hammer and beating.
That's how I got my name. Yeah.
That was Boomer. No, don't be sorry. You know, so that's wonderful. We're missing one of the Musketeers, so we're going to bring in the last Musketeer, and then we're going to light stuff on fire and go crazy. So the odd man out, he's not odd. Last but not least, we're going to talk about our tour manager, Mike Grisel. So he's been with the organization since '86, so that's 34 years. Another long stay guy here. He makes all the travel and logistics of the day-to-day work for the band, on top of babysitting all of us when we get hurt or do something stupid, which, you know, we kind of do. You know, I get hurt, I do stupid things, just things that happen, you know. So, you know, that in itself is an amazing feat that he has to deal with that, and he does it brilliantly. That's not all is involved with his gig. He has multiple aspects, which makes the show go. For instance, you know, the nitty-gritty organizational stuff as far as the band and crew with their tickets for the family and hotels and transportation, passport, visa work. I mean, the guy is, you know, he does it all. He's a tour manager, man. He's one of the best. You know, and I believe Mike started climbing and rigging steel back in the day in California and worked his way up as well. And Mike's focused obsession to me is second to none. I know it's a crazy word, focused obsession, but his attention to detail is pretty much flawless. You know, he flat out gets all the multiple jobs done, and he's always calm and caring and funny. You notice the trend with all these three guys. They're calm, caring, and funny. Those three things are just, you know, it seems like it's a prerequisite for this gig. Go back again, my first meeting with him at the rehearsals in 2005, he was like this California cool guy. He welcomed me, and he said hypothetically, hey man, are you available for more than one garden date in case this Madison Square Garden thing sells out? This was the beginning of 12 Gardens Live, I believe. Of course I said, yeah, you know. Again, it's before I had the gig, and you know, then the next question he asked me hypothetically, are you available for some tour dates? I'm like, yeah, I'm not in the band. Am I? And he just kind of, in a Mike Grisel way, very humorously replied, doesn't matter, man, if you're in the band or not. We keep on coming back day to day, and no one asks us to leave. He's laughing. That's his sense of humor. So Mike's resume is just like the who's who of diverse pop musicians: Jackson Browne, Madonna, again, Bruce Springsteen, Michael Jackson, you name it, he's done it. You know, he makes all the inner workings click, man. From emergency room visits overseas to letting us know what time we need to be at sound check. No one does it better than this man. He's one of the best tour managers. He runs a tight ship, keeps us laughing, keeps the family in a loop. You know, it's just wonderful, man. So let's say hello to our brother, Mr. Mike Grisel. What's happening, my man?
Hey, how you doing? Thanks a lot, Carl. That was pretty generous, as Bobby said. And, I'm doing great, man. Glad to be here and see all you guys and miss all you guys very much.
Likewise, man. We all miss you. What's happening? You dealing all right with those fires?
Yeah, yeah, I'm doing all right, man.
How far are the fires from you? They're not far.
Not too bad. They're in Orange County now. They're south of us now. Before, most of them were north of us. So it's, you know, it's one of our seasons out here. So that's it. You know, no snow, just hot winds and fires right now.
A little fire scarecrow.
That would be it.
Oh, cool, man. So we're all hanging out, you know. So I'm gonna, you know, this question, whoever wants to answer it, it goes across all. Actually, Max, you hit. What got? I'm gonna say questions. They're generic questions because we're all hanging out, and you guys can kind of all answer this if you want. If not, we'll go move on. Max, what got you started in the business? Was there a certain thing that said, this is what I want to do, or how did it come about for you, Max?
I was going to LSU.
Okay.
And I started working at the Assembly Center in LSU, which was where all the live concerts came. And I just did it while I went to class or when I was supposed to be in class. And you know, we had the who's who bands come through. We had the Stones, the ELP, you name it. They went through LSU Assembly Center, and I think Boomer, well, Lyle Santola actually hired me to go on a tour with him called the New Barbarians, which was this was in 1977, I believe, 78, somewhere in there. And to be a ground rigger, which I started from the ground, that's for sure. And
underground.
Yeah, underground. Oh, that was the most. It was pretty amazing, that tour. It lasted 30 days. You made no money. You spent it all. And after that, Lyle, I think Boomer hired Lyle to work for him.
Okay.
And Lyle, I came along, and they kept me. I was part of the package, and they kept me, and they found stuff for me to do. And, you know, like carpentry, I was the Marley man on Bruce. And I think I did a little bit of all of that stuff. But Bobby was a pleasure to work with, and he's responsible for me being where I am.
So it was Bobby that got you with Lyle then?
Lyle and I went to school together.
Okay,
he worked at the Assembly Center and at LSU with me.
I'm sorry.
And then he got some. How did Lyle get on, Bobby? You hired him for
George. Him and George knew each other.
Yeah, George Travis. Let me not discredit George.
And
kept me.
hired Max, and then that's where I met Max on Bruce Springsteen's The River Tour.
Oh man, I wish I was a fly on the wall
Yeah.
for that tour. Woo!
Oh yeah, it was good. It was good. I don't remember all of it, but we had a nice time. And we learned a lot. Bruce was incredible to work for. And you know, I ended up leaving Bruce Springsteen in 1992 or 1991 and going with Billy pretty much full time. I'd started working, I think, on the what was it? Stormfront. And I had to make a choice, and I made a choice, and I stayed with Billy.
Now, when you got with Billy, what was your job title when you got him with him in '91?
Well,
Bobby, over the ground rigger.
Well, you know what? I got hired to actually go to Russia.
Really?
But that kind of fell through the cracks a little bit. I think that the gentleman that was in the position I am now just didn't keep me there. And so I never made that tour. And when, no, I never made it to Russia, which I'm disappointed because I've never been to Russia. I would have liked to have gone, and I would have enjoyed seeing Boomer surfing in the crowd like he did. But
wow.
I didn't get that one. And that's probably for the best, because when I came back on, the guy that I was supposed to be helping or assisting just dropped the ball, and I picked it up.
Gotcha.
That's what happened.
Cool.
And it's been there ever since, I think.
Man, so that's a great story, Max. Wow, very cool.
Yeah, working with Bobby and Mike. Mike was in there with us. Were you on the River Tour, or did you start Born in USA?
No, I started after. That was Born USA.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, wow. It was a lot of fun.
Well, actually, you know, I'm going to pose the same question. So, Mike, how did you become a keen to Boomer and Max, and how was your introduction into the business with these gentlemen?
Not unlike Max, I was in college, and it was helping pay for school, being like a local stagehand and scaffolder. So when Bobby Thrasher and again George Travis, when they came into town with the Mike Brown staging, I was working with a crew of characters, as Bobby would refer to us. And we would do be the local, you know, hands and build the scaffolding and stuff. And so after, you know, whatever local outdoor show it was, kept running into each other and seeing each other and filling in. And I also worked for Avalon Productions as a runner, gopher, whatever, and would help out. And so I was familiar with them. And then they just kind of said, oh, we might need somebody one time, and maybe we'll call you. You know, I'm going, oh yeah, sure. Yeah. You know, and then I got a call, literally fill in for a few days. Genuinely, that was it. Just fill in for a few days. So I was all excited, got to go and fill in for a few days. And literally George said to me, you know, but it, you know, on Boomers, and everybody knew me and stuff, was saying, well, in 3 weeks, you know, we won't like you or you won't like us, and then we'll talk. And then I went home and got some clothes, and it just kind of was dumb luck, you know. And then a lot of the same people worked for Billy, you know. There's Wayno and Saw and everybody, and it just kind of coming to Billy was actually really dumb luck on my part. They said, oh, come up and meet with us, and I did, and didn't expect anything, you know. And it was the same guy that Max had referred to, and you know, it didn't really happen, and then it did. You know, it wasn't a planned thing. You know, it just kind of happened. It was pretty neat. It was pretty neat. I'm pretty lucky, you know, and my luck has been, touch wood, you know, holding on pretty good with this group of people. Yeah, oh yeah, that's it.
Well, like you said, they kept on coming back. They haven't fired me yet, you know. That's how
yeah,
I feel about it
I've tried. It's been pretty hard to get.
Yeah, I'm like a disease. I keep on coming back, you know.
We work like dogs, man. You go in the beginning, and we never left. It was like in at 6 a.m. or something, and I think we'd leave. Well, Bruce wouldn't leave the dressing rooms, I don't think, till loadout. Bobby, we were closing the doors on the trucks, and Bruce is still in there. So we wouldn't leave till 4 or 5 in the morning and do it again the next day.
Man, paid your dues. Wow.
You had to, or you'd be out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, Boomer, how did that work out for you, man? I mean, I always knew you as a mechanical guy. You know, we have the outboard engine thing, old Evinrudes and Johnsons. So you got into the hydraulic thing, but what made you into like now, so you're a mechanical, hands-on guy building stages and hydraulics and stuff like that, obviously before that. What made you, was there a segue into the organizational aspect of it and the advanced work? Was there something consciously that you're like, okay, this is what I'm going to work on, or how'd that happen?
Be quite honestly, this was never the direction of where I wanted to go.
Wow.
Okay. My brother saw what I did building forklifts down the street from where I lived.
Okay.
And he said, I could maybe use your talents or expertise or whatever it was to build this hydraulic thing for ELP. And I had to make a decision. Do I want to do this theater business thing? Also, at the same time, he was with the IA in Montreal, and I had to become a union member to do this tour.
Okay.
So I had to go to Montreal and learn theater. Like, this is about a year and a half before we actually went out. And anyhow, I went to Montreal and became part of the theater, same theater my brother was in.
Okay.
And became part of the union with the stagehands. And then went on the ELP tour. Believe it or not, I was told from the get-go, because I was little brother, I'm never going to make it. Everybody on the tour said I wasn't going to make it. And I don't have to admit, after the first week, I thought I was going to die, because we did a very experimental tour with 70 band orchestra musicians, 5 stages, and
wow,
going to shithole places. And I remember Louisville was our first stop, and rigging was a nightmare. Everything was a nightmare. We're behind, working 72 hours straight to get their first show up, you know. Wow. Just ridiculous. I was beat, and everybody that was there told me I wasn't going to make it. And that's where I met George Travis. He was a rigger on the tour at the time. And anyhow, we finally survived, and the crew got filtered out. All the people that said I wasn't going to make it had to leave because they couldn't take it. But I was a young boy, and I kind of stuck by my brother and stayed with it. And anyhow, it became fun. We finally dumped the orchestra, and all of a sudden it was just a 3-piece band and a normal tour.
Sure.
Again, it still wasn't my calling, but it built from that. I still had no idea what I was going to go back to the theater. That was my intention at the time. After ELP was done, I was going to go back and be a stagehand in Montreal.
Okay.
And being in Montreal, I was a theater. My brother happened to be owner of an audio company, audio analyst, and
oh wow.
He says he kind of know about the road. Why don't you come out on the road and do some sound stuff? So I went out on Gino Vanelli, cool. And became a sound engineer, not a sound engineer, just a sound, set up the sound. I couldn't engineer anything in that respect, but anyhow, I did Gino Vanelli, and then in the meantime, the Eagles had gone through Canada with their Hotel California tour, and they got hit very hard with taxes. Any U.S. company coming in with taxes, so Mike Brown got a hold of this audio company and asked him to be a franchise in Canada, so he didn't have to pay all this entertainment tax.
Okay.
And they said, well, I need a representative though that lives in Canada. And that's how I became a staging person. My first trip was the 1980 Olympics.
Oh, geez.
And I was shuttling grandstands from Mike Brown from the Montreal Grand Prix to Lake Placid every night. And at the same time, smuggling audio equipment over for our audio company back into Canada. Anyhow, that's how I got into the staging business. And then George Travis found out, who I met on ELP, that I was working for Mike Brown, who his wife at the time, his wife was working at Mike Brown, and realized I was there too. He hired me for Springsteen.
Okay.
And from there.
What year was that, Boomer? What'd you say?
1980.
It was 80. Okay. That was
1980. And then I always worked for the staging company up to about 87, in between all the other tours. Like I said, I met Steve Cohen on the Simon and Garfunkel tour. I think it was called the Drive-In Movie Tour or something. And that's how they got to know me. And that's how I got to be in with Billy. Mind you, I worked for Bruce and Billy for 26 years. Together. They never toured together. Nope. They never toured at the same time. They both worked for the same record company. Both pretty much had the same market share at that time on the East Coast. Wow. So why would they go out at the same time again?
That makes no sense.
You know, hurt each other. But it just happened to work out for us, and it lasted for about 25 years.
Wow.
And then finally, Billy, I had to make a choice. We started touring with Elton John, and I was kind of out of the sync of everything, and I made the choice to stay with Billy instead of going out with Bruce. And
awesome.
In all the meantime, I've did all kinds of other things on the down times as well.
Sure.
You know, Ringo Starr for 7 tours, Paul Simon, the Graceland tour in Africa, through Lyle that we've talked about already.
Yeah.
And done some bad tours, but Mikey will remember one of the silliest things we ever did was the American Gladiators tour. And that was one of our best. And
let's hear it.
We were on our own, just me and Mikey.
It was good.
We were best,
unaccompanied.
the worst and the best at the same time.
Yeah, it was.
It was just the silliest thing I ever met. Chainsaw was with us as a referee.
Oh, Jesus.
Sean Fox was there with us as a referee and set builders.
Oh, Lord.
And it was just the stupidest show I ever said, ever. Just couldn't believe it. And then they finally sold it off to Ken Feld, the circus people, Ringling Brothers. They didn't understand that the participants or the contestants were the show, the local people.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to feed them. They didn't want to give them insurance. They wanted, anyhow, it was just the stupidest show I ever seen. But anyhow, and then from there, it's been Billy and Bruce for 20 years, and then just staying with Billy from this point on.
Beautiful.
And
who did that Gladiator show? Fischer?
I'm glad I did.
Yeah, correct.
Very glad I did. And as you know, we've all been together pretty much all the time, the same crew on both camps and other places as well. But we get each other jobs when that doesn't happen anymore, but we used to.
Yeah, man. Keep it in the family, definitely.
Again, I didn't want to ever be in the rock and roll business. I didn't listen to rock and roll. As I mentioned once before.
I love it. There it is. Stan.
Okay. That's what I listened to.
I remember when we first started talking, it was the same. We were talking about.
I just saw your picture of the guy the manager. He went out with Kenton for a bit. I just saw a picture come up with him.
Oh, really?
Your friend that went with was manager for Maynard as well.
Oh, yeah, Ed Sargent, my buddy Ed Sargent. He's been on here also. Yeah, he's actually going to come on real soon too. But yeah. That's why immediately, as soon as you said on that first rehearsal, it is Ed Sargent there, and then Boomer is 2005. Ed Sargent's now the road manager for Joan Jett. And the other gentleman there is William Morris booking agent Kevin Meads, the small guy there. But yeah, that's it's amazing how small the world is. It's 6 degrees of separation in this business. Everybody knows somebody. It's crazy. You know?
That's for sure.
You know, Mike, how did that? What's that, Boomer?
I was just saying, there's a few tours I don't even want to mention.
We all have a few of them, I think.
What's that?
We all have a few of them, I think. We all have a few things that we don't want to remember.
Yeah.
They all make us appreciate what we do have. Right.
Yeah.
Because if we just had this, we would, on a certain day, would take it for granted. And we're pretty lucky where we are. I think so.
I think
for
we all
sure.
agree.
Well, other people's skill, I'm on luck personally.
Thank God for Billy.
Yeah. Oh man. Hey, you know, speaking of a guy who we haven't seen, is Stephen Wright still here, or do we lose him again? Where is he at? Are we talking to just 5 people? Is it just our friends, or do we still have our bandmates and everybody hanging out with us?
Oh yeah, everybody's still here hanging out. I've been here taking in the chat.
All right.
Yeah, got people are chiming in from all over the place. Chuck is still here hanging out. We got yep, got Mark Rivera is on with us as well.
Rico.
Ooga.
Got a bunch of the crew hanging with us tonight too. Jay is on with us.
All right.
We got Sean is on with us. Actually, Andy, I just see Andy, bass player Andy Shashan is on as well.
All right. That's a good boy. Oh, that's a good boy.
That's a good boy.
But yeah, we got a bunch of questions coming in. So whenever you want to jump in, we can.
Throw one at us right now. Keep the ball rolling. What the hell?
All right.
Is that all right with you guys, or am I going to be?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not? Right. What we got?
All right. Well, James Skitka is asking, what is one of the most difficult situations that you've ever had leading up to right at the beginning of a show that you had to deal with right on the spot?
Whoever wants that one.
I think I'll say one that was kind of a little scary is when we were playing the last play at Shea, and Paul McCartney was going to be our guest, and he was flying in from London. You know, we were on the stage, and he was landing while we were on the stage, and boy, you know, just trying to organize getting here and not going through customs and getting to the show. And then he brought his own, you know, his bass, and I remember we had to tune it. Well, I didn't, but Mark Snyder actually tuned it with a butter knife, and just getting him into the show on time to walk on stage to play his piece. That was pretty hectic. Don't you agree, guys?
Oh, most certainly. Most certainly. Remember,
you know, I mean, it wasn't a terror like earthquakes or anything like that we've had, but
stressful.
But we have gone through that as well, Max.
Yes, earthquakes.
Michael,
the Kobe earthquake.
Oh yeah, in Japan.
We were in Japan during the earthquakes.
And they wanted to do the show the next day, but anyway, it was
the day of. The day of, we did do the show the next day. It's the day of they wanted to do the show.
The Kobe, the Gulf War started when we were on the road.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, a couple instances that were horrible were just before our show would start is when I was with Ringo Starr and our audio all went down. We had to get that all set up and stuff. On ELP, I remember trucks are late. Many times in the earlier days, trucks were always late. We're always doing winter shows. We're back to back. We don't do back to back anymore. That's something I haven't done for years. I haven't rode in a bus for years. But at one time, we used to do back to backs. And a couple times on the LP, we no trucks. We're at the buildings waiting for trucks. It's 5 o'clock. It's 6 o'clock. They're not here yet, but they're on their way. Do we let the audience in? Do we not let the audience in? Well, they said the trucks are on the way and the snow let up. We were in Kitchener, Ontario, and we decided to let the audience in before our gear came, and we set up in front of the audience. Wow. And they enjoyed that show more than anything else. It was quite entertaining. And then there's a time with Springsteen in Gothenburg where the generators all went down. We had no power right before the show or during the show, one of the two. And I remember being up in the generator and trying to fix this damn thing along with our sound engineer. And we finally got it going. But
Boomer, I got to interrupt. How about the time? How about the time? This stays in my mind, and you're probably going to hate me for this. When we were in front of this the Coliseum in Rome, and the turntable started, and you were almost stopped it. Where the whole band's on a turntable. Bryan Adams opened up for us, right? And we started the concert, and someone tripped the button, I guess, and the circle started moving the turntable. I'll never forget this. I looked to the side. I see Boomer. He grabs the turntable and he slowed it down, man. I couldn't believe it. Mighty Boomer is holding the thing. Cables were popping. Oh, my Lord.
That was interesting. Now I know who pushed that button.
Who?
My young son. Teddy, he was drum teching, and he didn't know what the button was. He leaned up on it. And all of a sudden the turntable took off. We were lazy. We didn't put the cables through the center so they could turn. We decided to just go across the turntable. And obviously when the turntable turned, keyboards started flying down. Anything that was connected to a chord started moving down, slowly moving across the stage.
Yep.
We finally stopped it, as you said. We managed.
Yeah, no, you stopped it. And I got to tell Steven, that was a picture. We're going to do guilt by association. That was actually a picture of little Jimmy and Boomer sleeping on the bus. I got very candid shot. So that wasn't Jimmy that stopped that. Your tech guy, Jimmy.
Teddy.
It was Teddy. Yeah. Sorry, Teddy. We love you.
It was Chuck's tech. Checking Crystal's tech. Yeah, there was a couple other things that, sometimes we felt like we were warriors or explorers and trying to, on a Springsteen show.
Or that Bobby.
Trucker strike. We didn't have any gear. We had, we were stuck in Lyon, France, and we had a show in Spain. The crew got to Spain. Okay, what are we going to do? They just shut down immediately. Somehow we found a cargo airliner, a cargo freighter. And I flew back to Lyon, me and another person or two, and we had to load up this plane. Plane had a flat tire. We got to Spain about 4:00 the day of the show with all our gear. And again, we had to set up prior to the audience. I think the audience actually came in while we were still setting up as well. That's happened actually quite a couple of times where I had to set up by myself. One day, right after my wedding, I got married on the road with ELP in St. Petersburg, Florida.
That's where I live now. Yeah.
And it was just the crew and the band at my wedding. A grand time, as you can imagine, 77. All kinds of things were loose and stuff. Believe it or not, my wife and I are the only ones that went to bed.
Okay.
I'm also the only person that got up in the morning and drove to the next gig, which was Jackson, Florida.
Jacksonville, okay.
And the crew got on the plane after being late and went to Jacksonville, Alabama, or Arkansas, whatever. And I had to start setting up by myself.
Oh, Jesus.
So they didn't get there at about 11:30, but I tried my best. I remember in Madison, Wisconsin, same thing happened. I decided to go with a truck driver just to see how it was, and I drove. They all got snowed in. I was the only person there with a bow, and they kept on telling me to start setting up. I didn't know how to set up everything, but I gave it a try. And I remember the first guy that tried to help me. I thought he was the janitor of the building, and he had a big key ring and stuff, and it was Sean Phillips. I don't know if you remember him. He had a song called Woman. Anyhow, he was our opening act, and he was helping me put everything together. That was kind of interesting. Oh, wow. But there's lots of days like that. But they just kind of fall in order, and you get it done.
Yeah, man.
What was that, Puerto Rico, Bob, when we went and the band made it, but the back line didn't make it? Wasn't that it? The crew didn't make it?
That's right. And the band had to finally set up their own gear. That was great.
It was a good thing.
That was a good thing. Yeah, and then Ricky and Wayno show up. Didn't have to do shit, but all the band members had to put their gear together.
Yeah, that's fine.
There was lots of days like that, though. On every tour, somehow, somewhere.
Sure.
Or where a roof fell in on Billy. We we're playing Syracuse, and during the night, just before focusing, the night prior to focus our lights, our roof went on our roof. Our stage collapsed.
Oh Lord!
It's too heavy in one corner. And we had to get that fixed and done somehow. We brought some cranes and lifted it up, tied it off to the side of the roof. But you know, a lot of those kind of things happen. But that's when you kind of kick into adrenaline and just get it done. You know,
That's part of the groove. Speaking of you know, cranes and pitchforks, you know, this always sticks in my head too, man. You got to throw the story out about getting blocked by a car in loadout and you driving your pitchfork and moving a car very gently.
well, that happened actually a lot of times, but that was on American Gladiators.
Okay.
Okay, and Mr. Chainsaw, Rick LaPointe, who was with us, my referee, our referee.
Yep.
We're at Jonestown, Pennsylvania, and we're trying to load out. And some car was parked right in front of the truck, and it was just a single driveway to get a truck into the backstage area. And this car was parked right in front, couldn't get the truck out to load all the other trucks. And we got a forklift and we moved it. And then Chainsaw realized the keys were actually in the car, but he had lock picks and managed to, once we moved it into the middle of the street, he picked the locks, got the keys. I don't know if he did this or not, but he started the car, locked the doors, got out, and just left it running there and threw the keys away off to the side. That's happened many times. All kinds of stories like that.
Oh Lord.
Minneapolis once too, Bob, right?
What's that?
Minneapolis, there was a car block in the loadout.
Oh, I'm sure there was. There's many times.
It was a purple
cars. We put cars on roofs before, you know, if they were in the way.
Purple rain?
Just throw it on top of a roof.
You're getting there.
Yeah, it wasn't so gentle, that one, I remember.
Oh well.
Well, thanks for the question, James.
Get the job.
Yeah.
It wasn't to be mean or anything. It was trying to get the job done.
Get it done. Get it on to the next one. Yep. On to the
Might
next
as well
one.
have fun doing it though.
Yes, sir.
That's for sure.
That's great. We've actually got quite a heated battle going on in the chat room here. And I think it's between the crew. We've got.
And what are they saying?
Are
they saying?
It's basically a fight of who they think Boomer has as his favorite.
It's obviously Chainsaw and Wayno.
No, we got Sean, we got Joshua, we got Josh, Jay. Everybody's wondering who Boomer's favorite is.
Who's Boomer's favorite?
Chainsaw.
They all are my favorite. Chainsaw's my lost child.
He's lost, all right.
And I'm sorry that I laid Chainsaw onto everybody. But he's proven his worth since then.
Yeah.
But he's my abandoned child. Wayne and I have actually worked the longest together.
Oh, really?
We met on Pino Vanelli. He was
Wow.
a piano tuner. And we got a hold of him. That's where I got in touch with Wayne, and that's how we know each other.
Look at that shot. Popcorn. I think Wayne's got some popcorn there with Boomer.
You know, that's what we get Billy. Billy doesn't ask for much, but he does ask for a bag of popcorn.
That's
Not
a
that he
bag.
wants a bag that big, but he likes his popcorn.
There's Wayne again and Boomer. Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh, that's my Wayne, that's for sure.
Yeah, man. I didn't know that you guys did Gino together. That's a beautiful story.
Yeah, that's 78. So he's the one that I knew the longest. Other than, that's working with us now.
Beautiful.
And then Max would be the next one.
Max is still hanging out, man. How you doing over there?
Doing great. I'm just loving these stories.
Yeah, the story's all right.
Oh, man.
But I'm not going to answer the question, who's my favorite? They're all my favorites. Everybody on Billy Joel is my favorite.
That's like asking Billy what his favorite song is. Asking what your favorite kid is.
Yeah.
No.
It's a hard
Billy
question.
won't play my favorite song.
What's your favorite song?
Yeah, it
Boomer?
depends what day you ask, too.
What's that?
Some people get on that list.
Yeah.
No, and I understand why. Leave a Tender Moment with
Oh, Toots Steelman.
With Toots Steelman's, and since Toots can't play it, nobody can play it.
Nah, Toots on harmonica.
I respect that because Toots was one of my heroes in the jazz world.
Yeah, Mike, me too. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, no, without a doubt. So, we talked about challenges on the road. Let's go on this particular question. Let's think about, since it always comes back to Billy, we're very fortunate to work for Billy, obviously. Does Billy, how would you compare working for Billy to anybody else? I know it's kind of a loaded question. And why do you think this particular crew and band, this is the history of everybody being together for so long, it exudes this fun family atmosphere. So what do you think separates our organization from, let's say, the millions of other bands that you guys have worked for? Max, what do you think? What do you think on that? I know it's a loaded question, but
you know what? I think hanging with Billy is like hanging with you, or hanging with Mike, or he doesn't expect to lay out the red carpet, or get out Billy's writing, or
yeah.
He comes in and he sits right amongst us.
Yep.
He's very approachable. He's amazingly smart and fun to talk to, and he just, I don't know, all of us would do anything for him.
Absolutely.
I never was close to an artist as much as close as I was to Billy. Bruce was a little different at that time to work for, because Billy manages himself. I started working for Billy.
There's the answer right there.
After the management left. I was never around with all these people that helped themselves to his bank accounts and stuff like that. So I wasn't around then. And he depended on us, and he had trust with us, and we gave it back, and we gave back loyalty, and he gives it to us as well. I don't know. That's kind of my
You
vibe.
hit the nail on the head, Max. Management gone.
Yeah, management gone. And
that's the difference right there. There's no separation. Management always tries to keep people away from their artists.
Yeah.
Yes.
They don't want anybody infiltrating. It just seems that way. Bruce at one time, excuse me, Bruce, I'm sure it's still the same, but there was a point where we couldn't. The first tour we were with him, like Max was explaining, he would stay to the end of the night. Sometimes he would load out, him and Clarence. They would push speakers around.
Wow.
Bruce would go upstairs and rig with Lyle.
Yeah.
There was a time when Bruce hung out. He would ride the trucks. He would ride a bus. Clarence would ride a bus with the crew.
Big man. Big man.
Yeah.
And then as he got bigger, the separation became, I'm sure he's still the same man, but we just didn't see him as much anymore. It wasn't, he had so many other things on his plate that it wasn't the same anymore. So other bands, there's only one other person I had that it's kind of like Billy, and that's Faith Hill.
Oh, really? Same way, huh?
She was the person that was just be with the crew, be with the band and the crew all together, and do everything the same. I didn't do a tour per se, but I did a lot of off dates with them.
Okay.
And she reminded me of working with Billy.
Interesting. Well, it's funny Max and Boomer say that, because I remember when I was like the new guy coming in and sitting down at the production office talking to you guys, and I see a guy in a hat and I don't even realize it's Billy. I'm not even thinking, this is still in rehearsals, and totally approachable, and and I can't tell you how many times Mike, it's amazing too. It's, it's just everybody's around each other, and I don't know, maybe you can.
I agree with all you guys. I think it's the difference of, and it's not taken away from anybody that we've all worked for or anything like that, but it's the difference of working for somebody or working with somebody, to me.
Ah, there it is.
And then this, I think we're just, all things aside, that to me, that's the way it is,
Awesome.
That's true. And Boomer, you remember Levon, Levon Helm and Danko and those guys, when we did the Ringo tour, they didn't have any managers. They were one of them.
That was a history lesson. That tour.
That was entertainment.
Yeah, all three of us did that tour.
Really?
Ringo's first tour with Levon, Clarence, Niels Lofgren,
Oh my God.
Dr. John,
Billy
Joe
Preston,
Jeez.
Billy Preston.
Billy
These
Preston.
guys were just,
Jim Kellner.
it was a history lesson really quick. I mean,
Yeah. And they had no management?
Levon
They were
was the
just-
most entertaining person I ever met. I mean, you could just talk to anybody and going to his parties at his hotels or whatever. And
Levon.
Levon, yeah.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
just
Endless room service. Y'all come on in, man. Fish off will pay for all this.
most friendly person in the world. I mean, all of them, man, they were great. What is it? You know, that was a history lesson. The whole thing.
Yeah, man. That's
You
great.
know, to work for a Beatle, but it wasn't. don't get
And
me
Nils
wrong,
Lofgren, too. Remember, we had Nils on.
Nils was there as well, and we already knew Nils and Clarence, but they're all everybody was on their own at that time. You know, they all had their managers or something come pop in and out, but there was nobody really guiding the tour as far as that goes, other than George Travis, and he would leave us alone with them, and it would just be us and those guys, and it was like a history lesson.
Wow.
They told us all about rock and roll. Some of the funniest stuff I ever heard of, you know. But I'm glad I experienced it, that's for sure.
I remember getting on that. That was one of the first planes I started chartering planes, and we had a Viscount, one of those props things, and it was everybody. Everybody was on it. Levon, Barbara Bach, Ringo, the whole group of us were on that plane.
It was fun.
And it was just fun people. Ringo was pretty cool to be around.
It was just different, that's for sure. I mean, there's, you know, that's a highlight.
You know,
But
That's a definite highlight.
you know, I gotta ask you now, Max, you weren't on the Russia thing, but I heard not rumors, I heard stories. Maybe Boomer can tell me about this. Did you guys rent a 747 coming back from Russia that you all
No.
guys, everybody flew on and it was freezing cold or something? I remember a story like that.
no,
Where
no,
was
no,
that?
no, no. I think you got that mixed up with our USO show when the
USO,
Desert
I'm
Storm.
sorry. I did.
And also, we did some USO shows.
Okay.
And the deal with doing a USO show was to get free transportation,
Yes, sir.
because that was quite costly. Our first time was we were in Japan, and our next shows 2 weeks later was Australia.
Okay.
So we made a deal with the USO. Will you fly us to Australia from Japan, and we'll play. We played the Philippines. We played Clark Air Base
Park and Student, yeah.
and Subic Naval Base.
Okay. And all three of you
For the-
guys
for
were
the
involved
troop.
in this. Yeah. Okay, cool.
And they picked us up at the C5 in Japan, and they even picked some of the crew and the band in helicopters on rooftops from Tokyo to take us to the air base. And then we got on the C5, which is a cargo plane.
Yes.
You know, it's not a fancy plane, and there's
Not
no
bad.
windows up top.
No insulation.
Anyhow,
or
they,
anything.
you know, nothing. I'm very bare, but anyhow, they took us to the Philippines. We had the grandest time. We had like a week there, and they treated us like kings. We all had captain status, so we could do anything we wanted.
Oh, wow.
They had everything at the time, you know, from horseback riding to some folks even got to train in F4 starfighters. They couldn't take off, but they could taxi the runway at full speed and just drop it. Or get in simulate. A lot of people did a lot of things. And then the day we did our show, which was just on a bunch of trailers, was our stage. And Billy did a show at the Philippines in Clark Air Base. The next day, we're going to Subic Air Base, which is only 3 hours away. But they said we have to take a plane to get there because they were worried about the rebels in the hills and the mountains on the way.
Okay.
So we're loading up our C5 the next day, and somebody comes up and tells us this plane's going away. I said, why is that? It's going to Desert Storm just started, so they're taking the C5 away from you. I said, well, now how do we get to Australia? Well, they worked it out. We didn't know exactly then, but we went to Subic Air Base, and that's where the plane dropped us off. And then we played a week there in Subic. And I know Billy and everybody had grand times because they're in boat world all of a sudden. Everybody had a good time. And they finally came up with 2 C-140s. And they flew us all, Billy, band, crew. And we did 2 planes worth. Wow. You know, 10 hours on a C-140 is not a thing, but we made it comfortable.
Good.
You know, it's just bare walls, bare everything. But we
Guys were
brought
sleeping on
videos,
gear, cots and stuff, right?
and we sat on the gear and laid on the gear. It was a lot of fun. And then the other time we did a USO show was just prior to our first ELP tour. Excuse me, Elton John tour, our first joint effort. And we had to get from Frankfurt, Germany to Atlanta, Georgia. And we only had like 10 days to do that and do rehearsals and everything else. And we made a deal. We played a show prior to that. What was the name of the town we were at?
It was in Germany, right? You talked to.
It was Nuremberg.
Yeah, where they blew the big
Nuremberg ring, where the Germans used to have do all their videos during the war, where there was a tunnel underneath where they would just keep going around and, and do their propaganda films. But anyhow, we played there. And 2 weeks later, we went to Frankfurt to load the plane up, and they got us. We loaded up the plane. We had the band and the crew there. And just before we went to get on the plane, they came up and told us we can't fly the plane. I said, now what? And so we went across to Frankfurt, got everybody on a plane back home, and I stayed behind. And the next day, they said, we're going to try to fix whatever the problem was at the time. They didn't tell us. And I got there, and they said, listen, we just couldn't have all those people ride the plane with us, because we have we couldn't use the ailerons, our flaps to lower and raise. They don't work right. But, and I said, oh, how long's that been going? He says, about 11 years. And then he says, but here's what we do. So he takes me up to the cabin, he shows me this big fuse box. And he pulls the fuse out, the flaps go up. Put the fuse in, the flaps go down, or vice versa. I couldn't tell. He says, that's how we fly this plane.
Oh, Lord.
So I got on the plane, and we flew the next day. By that, I said, are you safe for this? He said, yeah, we've been doing it for 11 years. No problem. But we just couldn't let everybody be on the plane without them knowing.
Wow.
We just couldn't take that responsibility. And then they took us to Stewart Air Base in New York. So those are the planes they talk about. Those planes were cool. I was there alone on that plane, upstairs by myself in the passenger part where the troops would be. No windows except for the one little window at the door.
Oh.
And I was sleeping. And all of a sudden, it turned like 300 degrees. A blast of exhaust was in the plane.
Oh, Lord.
And they told me I couldn't go down. You had to go down through the cargo and back up to the pilot. And they told me I wasn't allowed to do that. Once you're up there, you have to stay. I ran out, that's for sure.
Oh, Lord.
And apparently somebody turned the exhaust into the plane to make heat or something for some odd reason. But then they let me just stay up there with the pilots after that.
Oh,
it took us like 3 stops to get to, I guess, Stewart Air Base. We had to go to the Azores Islands to fuel up. And then the other time we're talking about the freezing plane that was on Amnesty. I don't know if you remember that. We had 2 DC-10s, one for cargo, one for passengers. But prior to us getting that plane into our first 2 shows, we had to do it commercially or with charter planes. And we were going from London, England to Hungary, Budapest, overnight. Stupid, but we did it anyhow. And we had 2 planes. So we sent 1 plane with the gear that they needed first and the crew. I stayed behind with the 2nd plane and finished loading it all up. And they forgot that I was going to travel with them, and I had to travel with them. So there was no seats for me. There's no place for me to sit except on the cooler that they brought a cooler in. So takeoff and landing, I just sat on a cooler. But I was beat because it was like another 48-hour day. I went back into the cargo hold. No, there's no heat there. It's just, and I fell asleep between a pallet and the wall. And during the flight, he made a turn or something where the pallet shifted and pitched me into the wall, and I couldn't move or get out. And I was frozen. And I remember when I landed, I couldn't move, and they opened the door. They realized I was there now. They forgot all about me. Anyhow, but that's when I froze, if that's what you mean.
Yeah.
Good thing you're Canadian.
Yeah, I guess so.
He's a boomer popsicle. He's a boomer popsicle back there, man.
Well, those are just experiences, I guess.
That's good. And we cooked at Subic Naval Base for everybody.
Oh, we cooked everywhere we went, Max.
You're right.
That's all we've ever do is in the office is eat.
Cook. Yep.
I mean, it's too bad now, but before it used to be worse. People
all about food.
People found out, fans or friends of fans realized that food is what gets you into the building. I'll have to say it started with Bruce. If somebody came with a baked apple pie, they got into the show. I mean, that's how simple it was.
Yeah.
Because we all took that home time. That brought home to us, you know?
Yeah.
And that's how, you know, there was always the pie lady, the cookie ladies, and same with on Billy, they started bringing Italian food.
Oh, man.
Tons of Italian food. And it'd be all over the office, but that's the way we lived.
And that Polish food too, that pierogi.
Albany up there and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I have to say, even in my short time in 15 years, the food is still great. But I remember, man, I turn around, there'd be heaps of Italian food everywhere. I'm like, oh
just
my
everywhere.
God.
Just set it and forget it.
Yeah,
Set it and forget it made an appearance for a
hot
while.
dog roller, chainsaws, hot dog roller. You know,
we never needed to pay for catering. We just
catering is probably the biggest pain in the ass in touring, to be honest with you. In a way, especially in our group, because we always got what we always wanted. I'll have to say, nobody had ever mentioned to stop buying food. It was always okay to do, I guess. And I thank Billy for that, because he would like to pick, but he never ate any of it. You know, he always ate after the show. We put a to-go package maybe to go for him, but
they got Tupperwares.
Nobody ever complained about even though we had catering to the next room. People didn't want to go there. They just sit in the office and eat that Korean chicken and the Thai food, the pizza.
I missed that Korean chicken, the Chinese Korean chicken, man. I can go for some of the hot stuff, man. Come on, Max.
We're starting to miss everything now, aren't we?
You're poking.
Actually, we had a question from Molly. What is everybody's favorite production meal?
Wow.
Production meal.
Favorite production meal.
In-N-Out burgers.
It depends on what city.
Burgers, yeah.
It depends on what city.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously there are towns where we would order.
Philly
you know, you go to Nashville, you get the hot chicken. You go to Memphis, you get the other chicken. You go to Houston, you get a barbecue that we like, or
we didn't want to play. We didn't want to play cities with no food. We didn't want to play cities or schedule cities that the food was not good.
When the food sucked, it's horrible.
Like Germany was tough.
Oh, it was, yeah. Can
That's
only
for
eat so
sure.
many wiener schnitzels, you know.
Well, it's just that I remember when I first went with Springsteen in '80, and we were at the Reeperbahn. Don't tell me why I was at the Reeperbahn, but
Why were you at the
I
Reaper?
remember going to get a pizza, and it was made with pancake dough. I just remember in the '80s, any fast food was like just the worst in Germany and France and stuff. But Italy always
Reeperbahn for pizza.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it was open late after the show. That's why.
I didn't get pizza at the Reeperbahn.
Good answer,
You
right,
get the
Mike?
pizza dough.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Yeah, pizza in Germany, man, really?
Everything.
oh, man. Next question, please.
We got Mike Del Judas is chiming in saying the Philly cheesesteaks, of course, need to be added to the list.
Oh yes,
Of course.
Yeah. We actually
Philly cheesesteaks are a staple. I'll have to say,
They are.
after, I think I've done 200 and some odd shows in Philly. The cheesesteak has gone away from me now. It's taken that long, but they were good for the first 150 shows.
We always took one after the show. If we took a helicopter in or something, we landed, there was always a couple of cheesesteaks in that helicopter. Thank you, Liz.
Yes, big shout out to Liz, our lovely lady of the tour. She is Max. I'll let you, Max and Boomer. We all love Liz. I mean,
Keeps us all together.
Yeah, Liz Monhan, we love you.
Yeah, Lizzie came on. I forget what year it was, but
We were rehearsing at the theater,
for where?
the Bay Street Theater. Remember?
Oh yeah, because Boomer I always thought Bobby needed some help in organizing some of that shit that he had all over the place, and I thought the production office needed a little bit more organization. And
where's
was
this
resistant in the beginning, and now they're best. and Lizzie came in and did a great job. Does a great job.
Yep.
She always does a great job. She's my hero.
Yeah.
I know that.
Her and Miss Crystal.
Yep.
Oh, Miss Crystal.
Here's to Miss Crystal for surviving all that crap that she just went through.
Yes.
She's one of the first people that I met on John Cougar on her
really?
first date, her first show.
Wow.
And then we hired her for a Bruce tour. That was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It's wild. She was the only person I met on Mellencamp. I was working locally and I was a runner and I was driving everybody. And then she was this young girl going, "Hey, can you show me Melrose?" And I'm going, "Who's this?" They said,
Driving Miss Crystal.
Miss Crystal. Back in the 80 world.
Was that the Bruce after Mellencamp? Did you guys do that Bruce thing with Crystal where she was playing Clarence wouldn't make it and she was playing all Clarence Clemenson's sax parts?
Well, Clarence was not part of the band at that time. Roy was the
different band.
This was the Human Touch tour. Is that what it was called?
Yeah.
Lucky Town.
Lucky Town, Human Touch.
Tour.
And I'll have to say, Bruce came. I was building the stage in the studio in Los Angeles during the riots.
Yep.
Wars, white riots. Nothing big.
I was all by myself around lunch hour one day, and Bruce came in and he sat down beside me and said, "Tell me about this Crystal girl that's on your team." Because at that time, Bruce had hired a firm or something to get the musicians that he would like, based on what he asked for. And they went out searching for musicians. And they just couldn't fill that spot for Clarence, Yeah. So Bruce came out and asked me about Crystal. I told him about it. So I'm the one that phoned Crystal. Said, "Get your butt out here." I picked her up, took her to Bruce, and she got the job.
Oh, beautiful. I didn't know that story.
and she was the life of the band at that time. You know, she was the spark that gave that band something to be. I'm so proud of her.
Yeah,
That's for sure. She was
Yeah,
a talent. She
she's a
always
dude.
is a talent.
Yeah. Yeah, we love Crystal and Liz, and what Crystal just went through, like you said, the fight that she fought, and she's doing well. And thank God, because she's a force to be reckoned with, and we love her.
That's for sure.
Yeah. How you making out over there, Steven? I'm sure you have a few more
Good.
questions for us. And then
Yeah.
guys that look like they're getting a little tired. So
I'm not tired.
no, you're right, Boom.
No.
I'm firing up.
Oh, we got a couple.
Sorry, had to take a water break, Miss.
I thought you were
Oh,
making hot dogs or wiener schnitzels.
Making water. You know what? I thought about that. I really thought about tonight. I was going to have pizza set up. I was going to go buy some cannolis because Vinny always had cannolis. You know, we arrived in the production office late in the day. You know, everybody has already been eating since 7. But it was always, I look forward to getting to the production office because there was always something special in there, or Thai food, or, you know, pizzas come in at the end of the night, they'd hide them.
Yeah.
They wanted to come in before, right before we got in the cars. We'd be waiting for the pizzas. You know, they would come in right when we were getting ready to leave, and we, you know, I think me, Steve, we'd kind of be waiting.
Wait, Max.
And you wouldn't want to see it.
Ready to leave to go to a restaurant after the show, but you wanted to take our pizza with us.
Well, yeah.
Test it out.
We were not sure we were going to a
We
restaurant.
didn't go to the restaurant. Nah.
Make sure
Anyway, I wanted to have
Like a
pizza here on my table.
Safety pizza, Bob.
Okay.
Like Gino with a safety White Castle.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Safety sandwich. T-bone with a safety sandwich. You always have to have a safety sandwich.
That's Vinny. Vinny's a safety sandwich guy.
Yeah. Vinny Polifrone. We got
That's
to
the
get Vinny on
band that
strong.
does that. They always take those doggy bags home so they don't have to spend any money on the sound.
Well, we don't have a lot of gigs each month, so everyone's got to bring a little something home to get them to the next gig.
I got some salami from from Mexico, I think.
Yeah. Boy, we're lucky we got through that one, right?
Woo, we just
Yeah.
made that.
Yeah,
It is,
We-
Vin. Is that
get him our teeth.
There's a picture of Vin. I can't see it. You got Boomer. Is that Max in there? Vin?
I
I
don't
gotta
know.
put my eyes on. Is it Mark?
I can't see it.
I can't see.
Steven, who's on that shot? I can't.
Yeah,
I'm
we
blind.
got I'm not sure who the gentleman next to Vinny is, but we got Vinny, Max, and Boomer there.
I can't see it, but yeah, that's a good shot.
It's not Nico, is it?
No, not Nick.
Not mine. The other Nico, maybe.
Oh, you know what? It might be
Nico
No, not
German?
your Nico Germain.
Yeah,
cool.
the evil
Right.
elf.
Yeah,
The
man.
evil elf.
Well, you guys mentioned Liz quite a little bit. So I just wanted to tell you she's on here hanging with us. So saying hello to Liz.
Hi, Lizzie.
Hey,
Hi,
Lizzie.
Elizabeth.
Miss you.
There's nothing to eat in here.
Yeah, I know.
Starving.
If we had another screen, if we had room for another screen, you'd be on here, Liz. But yeah, like listen to Max. You should have brought pizza, Max. You even said you said you were gonna bring pizza.
I have pizza. I have one that I got shipped from Chicago, and it's one of those.
Oh, that's
deep
not
dish-
pizza.
I don't really
That's
like
not
those
pizza.
though.
Come on.
You don't like those, the thick ones,
Casserole.
Illuminatis or whatever it is.
Yeah,
And
Illuminati's.
somebody told me they had Bobby, you got to tell me what the hell this is. A Detroit style pizza.
It's hot.
There is no
They
such
get
thing.
in a fight.
Get
It's hot.
Maybe my daughter. Oh, we had a Detroit style pizza. I said,
Oh.
what?
How about Windsor pizza or
Oh, that's Canadian stuff.
Windsor is where the
Pineapple and ham.
pizza, they won all kinds of awards. Best pizza in the country.
This is
Windsor?
Canada, right?
What's that? From
Canada?
Windsor.
That's okay.
They won't let us in anymore.
Yeah, well, they,
I can't go back.
And you had Canadian. Can you go back?
No, quarantine. Anybody can go, but they got to quarantine.
Yeah.
Fafano went back. He's there now. but he was in his trailer and he quarantined for 14 days. They kept phoning him.
Really?
They actually kept track of him.
Wow.
To see
It's
where
hard
he
to keep
was.
track of too. I wouldn't want to keep track of Mark.
Let's see.
gotta-
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Go ahead,
Oh.
bro. I'm sorry.
No, we've got a few students online listening, and one message in particular I think is interesting. Says you always hear about what it takes to be on a band and to get a job working on the band, but you three guys bring a different perspective. What would you say to young students that want to get into the touring life, similar to you guys in your roles? What would you say that they need to pay attention to growing up and learning?
Mike, you hit that one since you have a young person's mind and you have young people around you.
Is that like saying I'm immature? Yeah.
Yeah, kind of, but in a nice way. No, I'm kidding.
You
I know you relate to a lot of young people.
Like Bobby, it wasn't what I intended to do. It's not what I was setting out to go and do entertainment. It was I got in because, they said, hey, can you drive a forklift? I said, sure, but it was kind of whatever they give you to do, try it and do it. We are all stagehands. We all grunted, push cases, just learn. You'll learn where you want to be, or you get a chance to be if you just stick at it. This is not at all the side of once I was touring that I thought I'd be on, on the, the wrangling side of it. I was, my goal, the only reason I went to college was my dad said, to go to college, so you got something to fall back on. Construction isn't reliable, and what am I doing? It works out. And if you're just willing to work and learn, that's just, and then you'll fall into a place if you just keep at it. That was my experience, my luck, was just keep trying it. Pulling 4/0 was not my ideal of a good time, but you do it. Pulling cable all day or putting down ramps and stuff like that, or building barricades, but you do it. And then next time you go help, setting drums up or something else, you get exposed to a lot of different things by just being a hand for me, and you get to see a lot of different aspects of things. That was my experience anyways.
That's great advice. And I'll jump on that. I think that's why I have such kinship to you guys too, because me in my music career, I got more gigs as, hey, I need a stage manager or a stagehand to come out and do this jazz thing. I'm like, I'll do it, not even knowing, and I'm jumping on it and exposing myself to, okay, I'm setting up a drum kit or I'm putting music together. Seeing you guys and talking to you guys, there was a kinship of, whatever to make the show happen. It's about the gig. And there's nothing too small. I talk to young people. There's nothing too small. Nothing's beneath you. You just keep your mind open no matter what field you're in. I think, Max and Boomer, I'm sure, could expand on that too.
I was going to be, I wanted to be a lawyer. That's what I was going to college for. I was going to be a lawyer.
Really?
And I just stepped into this, and much as everybody else, I just kind of stepped into it. And it really wasn't as exciting as I thought it was going to be in the beginning. It was a lot of work. In today's world, I don't know what to suggest to people. Go be a lawyer. That's probably a little safer. It's like Mike said, you got to be willing to do everything. Rolling cable, I hated coiling cable too. Bobby, those big rigging cables you had to coil, the 50-foot, half-inch cables. Ugh.
Or especially at an outdoor show, all muddy and beer and all sorts of other fluids all over them.
Pick the chairs up after the show. That's always a pleasure.
Boomer, what do you say? You have a big family, big, beautiful family, and goddaughters, and just what do you, in the future, how do you look at it in this career and in this industry? What would you recommend to a young person?
This time?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Obviously, this time I wouldn't recommend it at all.
Yeah.
I always had the firm belief that we were safe in this industry. I always thought, entertainment grew during the the Depression.
Yeah.
It grew during the World Wars. Entertainment, it was a way for people to, get away from whatever their problems were for the day, to go see a show or do this. So I thought I was in a very safe place being in this business.
Yes, sir.
That entertainment would always thrive no matter what happened.
Yeah.
Well, guess what happened?
It happened.
It all got taken away real quick. So I would suggest it's a great business to be in once you're here. Again, like Max and Mike said, you got to being there and taking on the jobs that some people might not have wanted to take at the time,
Yes, sir.
but also have something to fall back on in this time of day. Because, I went through all the departments of our business except lighting. I always thought they actually got the worst. They're the first in, the last out. And they're always the ones up in the bus when you wake up in the morning because they drank all night. They only had 2 hours to do it in, but lighting now is a little more. It's progressed quite a bit from what it used to be, but it used to be the ugliest job. Then videos came along, and they were idiots for a long time, and they become professionals. And you almost can't live in this rock and roll or this entertainment business without video. I mean, video is now the main source of everything they do. Video is so large that you don't even see the band on stage anymore. And also they have schools now. I mean, For Sale or whatever it's called. And,
Full Sail, yeah. And Berkeley with Jimmy or
a
something.
lot of our technicians are coming from those type of schools or that kind of. So I would say that's the route to go. I'll have to say in our positions, they do have courses in it, but you almost have to be a psychologist. You have to know who your boss is or what they want. And you have to know or figure out how they react to things and how you get out of things or direct them into things. It's a different world, but you can't just do a straight schooling. You learn as you go.
Yeah, get experience.
The time, there used to be a time you were in the right place at the right time. And a lot of us have got in now. Nowadays, it's not the same as much, but most of our crew were always Chainsaw. He was our truck driver.
Yeah.
There's a good example. He wanted to learn how to do guitars. Yeah, he doesn't play guitars, but he wanted to learn the business.
Yep.
So I made a deal with him on our tour because I knew our guitar roadies were leaving. They were with Hart, and they were leaving before we went to Australia on one of our tours. And I said, Chainsaw, since you won't go to bed, but you should be as a truck driver, learn the stuff. And he learned it for like 4 months, learned the gig. Yep. And we took the gamble and taken him to Australia. It didn't work out right away. He blew up the transformers right off the bat once we hit Australia. But again, being with Billy and his band, we're very forgiving. More so get a laugh out of it as opposed to firing somebody. We already invested in flying him there and back, and so that's how Chainsaw got his gig. We took him on, but it was being there, right place at the right time, but also have the drive to do the job.
Be a good person. Be a good person. Be a good human being. There's not one bad human being on this tour, which is amazing to me. Everybody is just, you want to hang out with them, and that's very special. And that, I think, and this is a common thing. This is our 26th episode or 27th. It comes up every episode. It comes from the top down. There's no bad position. Everybody has respect for each other, and it's just a family of just positive. There's no morons, and if they are, they don't last too long, do they? Max.
Well, we filtered people. I'll have to say at this Madison Square Garden Run, whatever you want to call it, this last 5 years, 6 years, going on their 7th.
Yeah.
we haven't lost hardly anybody. Nobody has wanted to leave yet.
Why would you
Or
want to?
nobody has, there's been the odd replacement, but that's about it. Everybody has stayed together from day one here.
Yeah.
Pretty much the same crew almost all the way through. The tour prior to that, we've gone through 37 lighting technicians in the first 3 months.
I couldn't remember anybody's name because they were going in that so quick, right?
It's just in and out, in and out. I mean, now we've got the same crew all the time, which is nice. And they want to be, they see it now. You know, being with a corporation, a company, a technical company, a sound company, or a lighting company, or a video company, they see all sorts of things. And generally, they say that the tours are on, they could be there and not be there. Nobody can care less. But on this tour, they realize they become somebody. They become friends. They become, you can warm up to everybody. It's not just doing the job, it's living together and touring together.
So that's wonderful to hear. And I'm going to ask Max that an abbreviated version of that question. So you're with Billy all the time. Billy knows this stuff too. I mean, obviously, because he's not, he sees it. He's very perceptive, I would imagine, where he sees the same people. He remembers names. I mean, people, I'd love for people to know that, because a lot of people, I don't think, realize that Billy's he's a perceptive guy, I feel, right? I mean,
yeah, absolutely. He knows who does what, and he's very respectful, in my opinion, of everybody that does the job. And,
it's an inside joke.
You know what I'm talking about. You're bad, Carl. No, everybody is known on this tour. The family thing is, it's just wonderful. I wanted to go back to that question of the person had about getting into the business now. You know what? I feel lucky, really lucky, that this COVID thing happened in the twilight of my road career.
Okay.
I couldn't imagine being out of a job right now with just getting started in life.
Oh Lord.
We don't know what's going to happen, how things are going to go. I mean, you know, I can see us maybe having to get on stage with a plexiglass thing in front of us, or you know, people 12 feet back. We don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so it's a tough business to try and, you know, let's get into live music. But what live music business is, there is not much of it right now.
No.
I'm hoping that'll be different, but and none of us, Bobby, Mike, and myself, I'm speaking for us in a way, have the talent like you guys have. I mean, you can play a horn. You're an artist. Like, that's what I was gonna say earlier. We just kind of think on our feet and make things happen that you wonder, well, is it gonna happen? Well, yeah, we'll make it happen. Whichever way.
I'm gonna interrupt you. No, you're an improviser. That's why we get along, because you know, the artists and improvisers, the same shit. Excuse my language. It's the same shit. I think on my feet too. I wiggle 3 valves and blow on something. It's the same thing. It's the improvisation part of it. And that's what I love about you guys, because you make it happen. And as musicians, it's our same gig. It's just trying to make it happen and not be a repertory orchestra, which we're, you know, thank God we're not, you know, but I'm sorry, I went on a tangent.
That's okay. I mean, you could play out of key and I wouldn't know.
I do all the time anyway.
But if Boomer didn't have the lights or the truss done perfect and it dropped down on you,
you know, yeah,
that's a different story.
Yeah.
Bobby, I was just saying, we all kind of just make things happen the way we see it. We don't have any talent like playing a guitar. You know, I don't know how to do any of that stuff. I don't even know the names of all of our songs we play.
You know, I don't know a lyric of any song of any tour I've ever played.
Wow.
Well,
I can't recall a whole. I couldn't tell you one lyric. a whole lyric or a whole verse, a song of Bruce's,
Yeah.
Billy's, Paul
But he-
Simon's, Ringo's.
but-
Ringo's wasn't tough, but
But here
But
it
I
is.
could-
But you guys set the prefaces. You guys set the stage, no pun intended, for us to be able to do what we do, and you make our job so freaking easy. It's like unlike anything I ever seen before. To the point is, I never looked forward to going to a sound check or to a gig. You know, you'll see me. I'll come to the gig early. I come have lunch to hang out with Mike and to sit there and watch TV with Boomer or whatever. And not that Boomer's watching TV, but you know, or talk about hockey or something, or joke around with Max about wine. You know, I mean, but you guys set the stage and put the whole thing in motion to where it's. If you can't make music in this situation, you got an issue, man. So if I had a hat, I'd take it off. I don't have a hat.
We used to not do sound checks for a while. Sound checks now are the best in the last 7 years or so, or whenever. It's just been, sound check has always been my favorite part of the show, besides Piano Man.
What do you think about that, Mike?
Oh, I think the sound checks are entertainment. Yeah, on this tour, I think it's great because everybody is playing what made them want to be musicians. I think, especially Billy. You know, it's like, play that song. Oh, that's a great song. And the fact that all you guys can just swing into wherever he's going, or someone goes off one way, everyone just jumps in. You know, it's not like standing there with your hands in your pocket. You know, going, what is that? You know. It's pretty good, you know. So and it's, you know, it can be TV theme show night, you know, sound check, or it can be Zeppelin, or it can be classical. It's like
anything,
it's anything, you know, or depending where we are, whose music you're playing, you know. I think it's great.
Who's from that city?
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
exactly.
No, it's very cool. So, you know, I know it's getting close to the end of the thing here. So I think we should Stephen, if you have any pertinent, I'm sure there's a lot of questions. Maybe just hit a few that are stick out in your head, because I don't want to keep everybody up all night. You know, there's a World Series, and it's 2-1, by the way. If anybody's wondering,
who
the Dodgers are up by 2.
I was trying to be professional, you know, for a change, and I didn't leave the TV on.
Oh, you know, come on. What are you talking about, Mike?
I know you had it on. I said I was trying to be professional. I wasn't accusing you of that.
Don't worry.
Pulling for
2-1.
Sean Fox is pulling for the Dodgers, I believe.
Well, that's good.
I just saw him say that. Sorry, Carl.
Yeah,
I don't want to hex, you know, by watching, really.
Don't worry. We've been getting score updates in the chat from Nicholas Grisel.
Yeah,
So.
I see that.
Well, that's nice to know that someone is there.
Yep.
And we can't see the chat on this.
No, we're banned from that.
But I see it on my laptop next to me. I see the chat.
Yeah, you'll be able to see it on Facebook. But one of the questions that we got that I think is especially interesting with this particular group of people is, how do you guys balance accessibility versus, you know, the accessibility hindering with your ability to do the work that you're there to do? Because people want to come out to a concert and they want to have fun, but say they oftentimes forget it's work. So how do you guys balance the fact that it's they want to get to you guys, but you guys have a job to do?
They want to come into the office and have a big old party, and we're trying to do a job. It's like if I would go to somebody's office and I'd bring the wine and the food, you know, they're always, at some point, we've got to clean it out every now and then, do a thorough cleaning. But we do it, right, Bobby? I mean, you know, it's
certainly.
I know you're going to blame it on us bringing our people in there, but
I wouldn't think that at all. Us is ours. I think we've been here, and with Billy, as you heard through all the years, we're almost 100 years of working with Billy here, added up between us all, and we know where we stand and what we have to do it. And if we have time to make fun of it, and part of that is part of the job. It's being comfortable and entertaining in ourselves. We have to entertain ourselves as well, but we do our jobs first, and we go from there.
About the gig. It's always
I
about.
like to bring a meet and greet into the production office, and then we leave them there.
Yeah, we've seen that before, and then we get yelled at for it. But anyhow,
They won't
and it's
leave.
for a moment, but it fades away until the next time, and then but we survive. I mean, it's not like that at all, to be quite honest with you. You know, if Billy's comfortable bringing in people in to our office, and that's where he feels comfortable, because he can leave them there, and that's a good place to do it. And they can be entertained without Billy being there, or you know, that's fine. We have no problem with that at all. To be quite honest, we enjoy that. To get to
It's
meet
set
people.
up for that. Lizzie sets it up so Bill has access to it, and it's really, really good. No, there's nowhere else to be at the gig.
Yeah.
You know, you want to go in the production office.
What is the best room in the house?
It is the best room in the house, and
Production office hang.
it's even more fun when the show starts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I see people that should be on the stage working, like Mr. Chainsaw. He's in the office eating food and carrying on. Huh?
How does he just leaves the
He
guitar at
does
the
all-
bar.
It's bad. He's a bad person sometimes.
I've snuck in the production office a few times when I'm not playing and seen what's going on there when we're on stage. You guys
To
have
be
it
quite
figured
honest,
out.
we're packing up already. To be honest with you, everybody's packing up. As soon as everybody goes on stage,
Time to go.
and being with this band, people can pack up the dressing rooms while the show's going on.
Yep.
Because nobody's going to linger afterwards. If they do, they're without their gear.
Yep.
And it just makes it much more easier for everybody to load out.
Cool.
I've been on bands and tours where the band doesn't leave till the very last thing, and you have to wait until they leave before you can get everything out of there.
I gotcha.
And
And it put you behind for the next city when you had those
that's
tours.
what
Yeah. When you have
God,
it.
a long time ago, one-offs. Okay.
Yeah,
But
one night.
anyhow,
Wow.
that was a whole different way of touring. I guess we grew up.
I call this, I mean, actually, I've heard you guys say this too. It's the country club tour where it's like, you know, you fly into the city, you're there for 2-3 days, you know, and you don't know, do anything back to back. And it's just a wonderful thing, man. It really is.
You know, it sounds, I don't know how we do it, but it works.
Yes, sir.
It makes us
Yeah,
all
like-
happy. We all miss it so much. Even 2 times a month, we miss it.
Yeah.
You know, but or 3 times a month, whatever it takes, or even 1 time a month. I sure wish we had it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a bunch of people in the chat that are in agreement with you. Carl, we're coming up on 2 hours, buddy. I know I don't want to take everybody's whole night away from them. I appreciate the fact that you guys have been on with us this long. You know, I know there's a ton of stuff in the chat. Thank you guys for submitting all your questions and comments. We've had a whole different show going on in the chat, which has been a lot of fun. A lot of the crew and band members hanging out with what we've referred to as the regular crowd. So want to thank you guys. Sorry if I missed stuff. I did have an issue with the chat kind of dying in the middle, but thank you guys for submitting those questions and stuff. And Carl, I know you usually like to tie up the loose ends with one standard question, so I'm gonna leave it back over to you, bud.
Cool. Yeah, no, I again, I appreciate you guys. It means the world to me that you guys came and hung out with me. It made me laugh, and I always look forward to these things, especially when I know that my friends are going to be here, and I couldn't ask for a better night. So thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. And this is all to all three of you guys. I know the future looks dim with, you know, the pandemic and, you know, what we talked about, the entertainment industry being not really there right now, but this doesn't have to be about a gig. Doesn't have to be, this is my standard question that I seem like I always ask at the end of the thing, but it's appropriate. What do you guys have to look forward to in the future? What do you have coming up? It could be about music. It could be not about music. It could be about family. It could be about anything. Max, what do you have to look forward to, man? What are you looking forward to here in the near future? Anything anything on your mind? What are you going to eat pizza tonight, or what are you going to do after the gig?
No pizza tonight. I might eat swordfish. No, I'm just kidding.
How about a sword? Let's have a swordfish.
You know what? I'm looking forward to everybody coming. I'm looking forward to everybody wearing masks and trying to beat this, and I'm looking forward to getting past November 3rd. I've had it with all of this stuff without getting into the reasons, but go vote for people that I know you can't change anybody now, but
Just vote. Just vote.
I don't like what's going on. I believe that we need to wear masks and be so we can come back and play again.
Yeah, man.
Nobody's going to get together as long as there's this feeling of, Bobby, you had stepped out for a minute. I said, I can imagine us doing a stage and putting a big old piece of plexiglass back, bringing the barricades back, putting the barricade 10 foot out, and a piece of plexiglass on the barricade. I mean, it's crazy.
I'll have to admit, it is crazy. We have a little shop here. I had to put a plexiglass barricade to open up the shop. It took us 6 months to open up the shop, but we just opened it up again. But we had to, we had to confine to the things and just allow 6 people at a time in the place and put a piece of plexiglass up. It's silly, but it's the only way to do it. You got to wear your mask, got to take care. There used to be a time when I was proud of the fact that I was working with 2 bands that never had an opening act, never had a barricade. and that made, that was something that nobody else had.
Yeah.
Between Billy and Bruce, we never used barricades. We never used opening acts, but now everybody's, I sure hope we can get it back together. Like as Max says, hopefully after November 3rd, some things turn around somehow.
Yes, sir.
But if they don't, I don't know where we're going to be. But looking forward to anything. I look forward to my grandchildren growing up.
Awesome.
And families growing up. And hopefully they can get some pleasure out of that. And hopefully we can survive through that.
How many you got now? Max was asking. How many grandkids you have now? Boom.
Max or me?
No, I don't have any grandkids. Yet. 4.
I have 4. So
beautiful, beautiful.
Molly, if you're listening to this, maybe I'll have one day.
Oh, Mike, what do you got coming up, man? I know you're.
I'm just hope, like those guys said, we get through this, and like you said, we're improvisers.
Yes,
but,
sir.
Optimistically kicking the can down the road.
Yep.
Everybody just needs to do what we can to get over this hump in life that was unforeseen and deal with it instead of saying, I don't like to deal with it. Let's just deal with it and move on,
Yes, sir.
do what we need to do, wear a mask, do the stuff, even though you don't like to do it. And let's go so we can get together with 20,000 of our most intimate friends and do a concert, So,
Sounds like a plan. Sounds like a plan. Well, that being said, gentlemen, I can't thank you enough for being here. We're going to close up shop and leave it with Steven, but I love you guys and miss you guys. And thank you so much. And
thank you.
Thank you guys for coming up.
Thank you, Carl, for having us. It was really, really
thank you for the invite, Carl.
My pleasure, man. It was an honor. And
all you guys out there too.
Thanks for coming to hang. Everybody out there in the hang with the comments, our band members.
Our band and crew and Billy. I said we sure do miss our band and crew and Billy.
We miss
Hopefully
Billy.
we'll all be back together again soon.
This is our peer selected dysfunctional family. And
Good night, all. Thank you.
Nice.
Good night.
Awesome.
Ciao, guys.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight, and definitely want to thank everybody in the chat here. And if you guys can hang out just 1 minute, we'll close up shop. And then just wanted to say thank you, guys. We do this every Tuesday night. This is season 3, episode 5. So some stuff from the beginning. As Carl mentioned, he does have the show on the Billy Joel channel 70 on Sirius XM. So make sure you check out Carl on that show. and we had a lot of fun putting that together, as well as our Tuesday night hangs and hanging out with all of you guys. So if you do happen to want to support the stream, there's some information in the bottom right-hand corner there. We're not, obviously not pushing anybody to do anything, but it does definitely help. And wanted to thank everybody one last time. Thank you to Max, Boomer, and Mike. And I know I enjoyed having these guys on. And even as somebody outside of the Billy organization, I don't know a single time I've ever run into these guys where they weren't, they didn't treat you like family and put a smile on your face, even just as a guest. So definitely always appreciated these guys. So thank you guys for joining us. And until next time, I will see you guys next Tuesday.
Mr. Carl Fischer.